Hey you guys, today we're in Manassas, Virginia at Manassas Mall, and we're going to be touring a really cool reptile shop, Raging Reptiles. Let's go. We're here with Robin. Robin, who do we have right here?
This is our black throat monitor. He's a very, very sweet guy. He is a part of the monitor family, so he is a complete carnivore. He gets all different types of meat. He likes chicken, duck, lamb, rabbit, all different types of food. He can have anything that we have extra that's like freezer burnt. He can have, I have given him seafood every now and again as a treat. He gets treats quite often. I do feed him a couple of times a week. I feed him smaller meals throughout the week, just so that way I can make sure that he's eating enough and give him smaller meals rather than one big meal. I find that encourages a good amount of handling as well. I don't typically handle him on feeding days, or if I do, I feed him at the very end of the day before I lock up for the night.
So you're not feeding him enough to make him lazy, just enough to keep him strong.
Just enough to keep him nice and fat and happy. We don't want him overweight. However, he could get a little chunkier. We don't want him to be super duper chunky. This is a good healthy weight for them. He can run really, really quickly if he wanted to. He's not a biter. He could tail whip or he would huff and puff. He kind of sounds like a jet engine, whatever he huffs and puffs, but he's not a mean guy, as you can tell. He's a very, very sweet guy. He's got very long claws. These are actually trimmed, but whenever I trim my monitor's claws, I actually don't go up very far. I'm kind of nervous about quicking them.
Like a dog?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. I'm pretty nervous about that. So whenever I do trim his nails, I try to keep it really short and then make it a very positive interaction with him. And I only do just the very, very sharp tip of his nails because I don't want to hurt him, and I also want him to be able to use his claws to climb and do other things with. He does really, really like to hold on with his claws, but he's not a mean guy at all. He's very, very sweet. He's a good boy.
How old is he?
I think you'd have to ask Sean, but I think we're around 6 is
How
what
long
I
do they live, do you know?
They can live for a good long while. 15, 20 years is pretty good lifespan
Nice.
for them. Sean did have one that was like 20 plus.
Wow.
So he's got some animals that are very, very old that have lived for a really long time. Plated lizards that he's got, they've got a lifespan of 15, 20 years, and he's had them both for 25.
That's really
cool. Right? He's a good man. We love him. He's a sweet, sweet boy. He does have his little ear holes right here. So monitors do have ears. They have ears and they have eyelids, so they are not snakes. He can hear us. He can hear really, really well. Part of the training that we can do with him is whenever I do feed him, I'll smack on the side of his tank, and that way he has a auditory cue to wake up and also eyelids to come and say hello. Yes, he's got beautiful eyes.
That's so cool.
He's so sweet. Yep. He is pretty deep in shed right now. He did have a good bath. He had about an hour-long bath in some really warm water the other day. He loved it, but he's not the biggest fan of soaking on his own. I have to encourage him to take baths. Right, sweet man.
That's good that you do that. So for those that don't know, snakes have ears. They're just internal, right?
Yeah, they've got ears on the inside, but they don't have an ear hole. So they can feel the vibrations, and some people say they can't actually hear. I'm not super duper sure on that. I know for a fact that he can hear. You can name train these guys. And then whenever I do feed him, I'll smack on the side of his tank a couple of times, like 3 or 4 times, a really nice, good smack. And then he will raise his head up. He'll start flicking his tongue out, which is a sign of curiosity. And whenever he's flicking that tongue out, I know he's like, okay, where's the food? Because they do smell with their tongues, just like my snakes can. Right, sweet guy. He does also have this sweet little, here, he's kind of got a little shed right there, but he's got a little third eye right there. That's their shadow receptor, because oftentimes in the wild, especially as babies, these guys are eaten by hawks, vultures, all different types of animals that come from above.
So they can sense things above them?
So they can see the shadow. So there's his little third eye right there. He can see the shadow coming from above,
I didn't know
especially
that.
As babies. Yep. So they will go run away and hide. Lizards, a lot of lizards you'll notice have that. My iguanas are going to have that. My Nile monitor is going to have that. My Argus is also going to have that. Bearded dragons as well. And it's just because lizards, especially as babies or hatchlings, are very, very, very susceptible to being eaten by birds, especially birds of prey. And he is from Tanzania. There's lots of hawks and eagles and vultures and things that will swoop down and grab a cute little guy like him.
When you pick him up, is there a certain way you pick him up? Because I notice a lot of stuff that does get eaten by birds in the wild, they don't like being picked up from above.
So I typically, what I'll do is I'll kind of slide my hand underneath him. Sometimes I'll scooch his tail up a little bit more, so that way I can kind of place my arm directly underneath his body. That way both of his legs are supported. If I don't give his legs support, he might flip his tail around. That's not him tail whipping me. That's not him being rude. That's him trying to find his balance. If you hold a lizard incorrectly, they are going to use their tail to try to find their balance.
That's awesome.
Right,
Very
sweet
cool.
man. Yeah, he's a great guy, and this is one of the best ways to hold him. If you are just holding him, is kind of just like as a baby, and he'll hold on to you as well. He'll actually take his tail and kind of wrap it through your legs every now and again, especially if you're moving, and that is so that he can hold on. He does like to nuzzle. He is a big cuddler. He likes to nuzzle up underneath my hair, is one of his favorite places to be. Right, baby?
That's very cool. And it makes sense, but I didn't know they use their tails for balance.
Oh, yeah, they most definitely will. They'll also use their tail as self-defense. They will, he'll stand up kind of tall, and he'll puff his throat up, and that is him trying to make himself look bigger, and then he'll kind of rear back his tail and get it ready for the whip. When he does whip with his tail, it is very strong. It's very powerful. It hurts, that's for sure, but that is just so that he can encourage you to leave him alone rather than him having to come at you and bite you. That's harder for them to do in the wild. And also, they don't really want to bite you. If they can just smack you with their tail and run away, that's a lot easier. It's a lot quicker. It's a safer way for them to get that done.
Yeah, I love the reptiles will give you some warnings.
Yes, exactly. He will. He'll huff. He'll puff. He will tell you before he does anything rude. He's not a rude guy at all, though. He's actually a perfect little angel, and I love him. He's just awesome. A little cuddle bug.
So this is Cheez-It?
This is Cheez-It.
She's a berm, correct?
She is. She is an albino Burmese python. She is 4 years old. She's still really young, so she's got a lot of the pink on her face. As she gets older, that pink will fade away. Our oldest breeding female is 8 right now, and she's got almost no pink on her face. Our 17-year-old also has almost no pink on his face. She is a beautiful, beautiful lady. She's not at a size that we would consider proper for breeding. I do feed her either the jumbo XL breeder rats, or I feed her bunnies or smaller size rabbits, 2 or 3 pounds each time. I did bump up her feeding because I've been using her quite a bit for shows. So I bumped up her feeding to once every 2 to 3 weeks.
How old did you say she was?
She's 4.
That's cool.
She's 4. She's a great lady, though. She's super duper calm. I can put her on children. I put her on babies, and she's super duper sweet and kind about it. She does have those really beautiful heat sensing pits in the front of her face, which are really, really cool. There are nostrils right here, and then heat sensing pits in the front.
Wow.
Right? She's a beautiful, beautiful lady. We love her. She's very, very calm, very kind. She's very tolerant. She's used to being handled. She's used to coming out and having things done with her. She's never bitten anything that's not been food. So she's very, very good temperament on this snake.
I think it's important for people to see these guys with the bad reputation they're getting in Florida right now, because they're really great pets.
They are. The only issue is that the Florida ones, they're wild. Any snake that's wild is not going to be a super duper kind snake, if I'm being really honest with you. The ones in Florida aren't used to being handled like Miss Cheez-It is. I pull Cheez-It out all the time.
Yeah, and these guys have been captive bred since like the 70s.
Exactly.
So I mean, like 50 years of captive breeding will make you calm down for sure.
Most definitely. And then you throw one out in the wild where they've got nothing, they don't know what's going on, and a perfect environment for them to breed. Of course they're going to take over. You know what I mean?
Throw me in the wild, I might change a bit too. So
exactly, I would too.
Very cool.
Miss Cheez-It's super duper sweet lady.
So Robin, what do we have here?
This is Rigatoni. He's a 10-year-old redfoot tortoise. He is still pretty small. He'll get much, much bigger than this. He probably double in size would be a good size for him. He is from Central and South America, so he's one of the very few tropical tortoises, where most of my tortoises are desertous. He's a very, very sweet guy. They can have a little bit of protein, but mostly fruits and vegetables. He really likes collard greens, mustard greens, endive, kale, spinach. And then he, of course, loves bell peppers, bananas, apples, strawberries, blueberries, anything fun like that. He does get calcium on top of his food. They need UVB, they need calcium, and they need heat as well. He is super fun because he likes to come out and walk around. I'll let him walk around the back, and people can just stop and say hello to him. He's really not shy for a tortoise. Most of my tortoises would tuck up into their shell if you were to touch them like this, but he's a very, very kind guy. He's not shy at all about it. Their main predator in the wild is going to be jaguars, which is why they've got this really tough skin, and that's why they also use that defense of hiding in their shells. They're not very fast, unfortunately, but they can put a little pep in their step if he has motivation.
So these guys are native to the Amazon rainforest?
Yes. And then they're really, really cool. The only time that he really ever puts any pep in his step, though, is if he sees another male tortoise. He is unfortunately a bully.
So they're like territorial?
He is. He will try to go and he will bite my other tortoises, so he is not allowed around them. He also does show a little bit of interest in shoes every now and then.
Okay.
Part of the floor in the back is red, and we are very convinced that that is food. We're not the smartest of little fellas, but we get our job done. He also does really like to try to fight my big sulcata tortoise.
Wow.
He doesn't realize that he is unfortunately a little dude.
Yeah.
And the sulcata is not a little dude.
Oh, no.
He's a sweet guy, though. He's got a great shell on him. You can tell his shell is a little concave down here. That's a sign of being a male. The females will have a completely flat shell. This is for mounting.
That's cool.
They don't necessarily have teeth. They've got more of a beak. That way they crunch through their fruits and vegetable. One of his favorites is actually a cactus, spineless cactus. He loves that. He also really, really, really likes anything that's sweet. For Christmas, he got mangoes and bananas. So very happy about that. Sweet
good.
Man. Yeah, he's a great boy.
How long do these guys live?
These guys can live about 100 years. He is 10, so he's probably got about 90 more years left in him.
Oh, man, you might outlive me, man.
Oh, yeah. He's a good guy. Mr. Frank will definitely outlive us.
That's very cool.
He's very, very sweet. They're super cool. I love these little guys. They're very dense. They're a lot heavier than what you might think. And they really do not walk very quickly. Their feet are going to be kind of shaped like an elephant's feet, and they'll walk around on these toes rather than kind of crawling like how turtles do. Turtles will be much flatter. Their shells are going to be much flatter. You can tell they're aquatic because their feet will be more like flippers or fins, where he's got feet that are just meant for bumbling around and walking on the ground. And then he's got nice long back claws. A lot of times they'll have the longer back claws because females especially will dig a burrow to lay their eggs in. And a lot of times they'll use those little back feet for that. They do not raise their young. They kind of just lay a little nest of eggs and say bon voyage, but they're super duper cool. We love these guys. They make great pets. They're very personable, pretty easy to keep. Just need the heat, UVB, and a good diet for them. And then they are happy, happy, happy. Love them. And he does get baths. He just had his bath yesterday, but he gets a couple of baths a week just to make sure that he is soaking well and that he's getting enough water, and to make sure that his shell is staying nice and shedded. You can see each of these little lines are where they have shed their shell. The tiny little pieces on the top, that's how big we were when we were a baby. They start off very, very small.
So kind of like a tree trunk almost, where they have a ring each side. Yeah, they've got
the rings, yep. So you can almost tell age through that, but these are just how many times we've shed. Each of these sections is called a scoot. They will shed the skin off of these scoots. It's really easy to tell with aquatic turtles because theirs will peel up almost like a piece of plastic. In between that shell, there's this kind of faint white line there. That is actually what's going to expand. That's cartilage. That's how their shell will kind of push out and expand and grow larger and larger and larger. This part right here, right? Yes, this line in between. That's the only part where if you dug your nail in there, that might actually make the tortoise uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. This is made out of the same thing as our nails, but this part right here, this is cartilage, kind of like how our ears or our nose are made out of. That's what's actually expanding and spreading.
So, of course, these shells are attached to them.
Yes, their whole bodies are actually... all of their organs are inside of that shell. The spine is actually at the very top of this shell. The reason that my tortoises can't breathe if they are upside down is because their lungs will actually collapse inside of their shell. The other organs will kind of squish them, make it flat, and then they can't gasp and they can't gather air into those lungs. It's like if somebody was sitting on you, then it would be much harder for you to fill your lungs with air. Same thing with these guys. If there is a tortoise or a turtle that's upside down, if you flip them over you're going to notice they're going to gasp really big, and that's because they can't breathe upside down, unfortunately. So I never let these guys go upside down. I've never done that just for fun. The only time I ever do is just to pick them up a little bit to look at the bottom of their shells. They're super cute, though. We love them. And if he was shy, he would tuck his whole head away in here, back into his shell, and these little legs would cover his entire face. This skin is very, very thick, and it's very strong. It's very thick and strong. If I was to try to pull his arm out, if he didn't want me to, it would be extremely, extremely hard for me to do that because they're very, very strong animals. Their muscles right there are meant to be that strong, so that way if a jaguar or another predator was trying to rip his arms open so that they could then eat him, it would be much, much, much harder for them. Right, sweet man. He's a good boy. We love him. And they do have quite long necks. If he was to extend his neck out, it does extend quite a bit. That's so that he can reach more fruits and vegetation that are up a little bit higher in those trees. He's not super great at climbing. He does try to. He just likes to get into places he's not supposed to be, though. That's where he likes to be. When I take him to big festivals, especially ones that are outside, I'll tie a balloon around him and let him just kind of wander around.
We have Arabella here doing wellness checks. What is she doing?
She's writing down the animals' names, making sure the glass is clean. Then we replace the substrate if it's dirty, or we just move it out if it stinks. We'll clean their water bowl. And then if they have food trays that need to be removed and cleaned, then we will take those out. And then these guys, we also inspect the animal to make sure that they are looking good. If they have any concerns, we would write them down there. Heat is working, and then UVB. And so these guys don't have their UVB on there because they're snakes, so they don't need it. Especially in my little colubrid rack. Everybody else will have their UVB light checked. Even my albinos will have it checked, just that it's working and that that light bulb is still going, that we don't need to replace it.
That's a great system. It looks like Arabella's doing a great job.
Perfect, she is. She's incredible.
She said this is Frank?
This is Frank the Tank.
I see why they call him that. So he's a sulcata tortoise, right?
He is. He's a sulcata or an African spurred. They are the same thing. They're called the African spurred because of these spurs on their feet. He's not the biggest fan of having me touch his feet, but he is still a great guy. He mostly enjoys dark leafy greens like collard greens, mustard greens, endive. I get him the southern green mix a lot of times. I get him like 4 or 5 bags of that a day is pretty easy for him to munch on. He also gets Timothy hay. Timothy hay, it's this dry green hay, not this hay. This hay is just for bedding, but the Timothy hay is good for him to eat because in Africa they're really not eating very much with a high moisture content. So I give him the hay so that way he has something to constantly graze on. You want to make sure that these guys are constantly moving and eating. And he sits mostly underneath his heat light because it gets nice and toasty and warm under there. His shell does get to be about 95 degrees whenever he's sitting here it does get a little bit warmer. This is his favorite spot. So he gets to choose what temperature he lies at. He gets a good amount of UVB, lots of calcium on his fruits and veg. A lot of times I'll actually take a bell pepper and dump a bunch of calcium in there, and then little broccoli florets. That way he doesn't make too big of a mess with it, and he gets to crunch on that. He is a boy. He's 17 years old, so he's got probably another 180 more years in him.
Nice.
We can tell he's a male because he's got these 2 pieces right here. The males have these so that they can stick this underneath another male. Then they will stand up really, really tall, and they'll actually walk that male over and flip them over. Because again, my tortoises cannot breathe when they're on their backs, and tortoises are not kind to one another, especially
so they combat each other for the females, I'm assuming.
They will kill each other. They'll flip each other over so that way the other male will either have to flip himself and use up a bunch of energy, or he will be unable to flip himself and he will either suffocate or bake in the African sun.
Wow.
So these guys, believe it or not, can get really, really cold. If they do brumate, which is when they sleep for the wintertime, they don't technically have to in captivity. A lot of people do. When they do that, they can get, some people say, down to 45 degrees. So he could get really, really cold if we wanted to allow him to. He also gets baths a couple times a week. I give him Reptile electrolytes in his bath. And then he usually will go to the restroom for me in the bathtub. He does also go to the restroom in here as well, though, just wherever Mr. Frank feels like it. And he is a confirmed male, one just because of the scoots underneath his shell, how those stick out. His bottom is also very flat, and he's very clearly a big, handsome man. He is quite heavy. He's probably pushing 100, 150 pounds. He's a very, very hefty guy. Something else really, really cool about him is that he can lift cars. If I take him to festivals outside, he has gone underneath cars. He would try to lift them up. He tries to pick them up with his shell, and he can do that.
Really?
Yes, he can. But I don't want him to do that because I don't want him to, one, mess up a car or also mess up his shell on a car. He does like to hide. That's why I give him such deep hay, is because he really, really, really likes to burrow. At nighttime, he'll stick his little face in there, and he'll kind of tuck himself in. He'll go like this, and that way it's nice and dark.
Nice.
That way he can sleep really, really well. He does come out and wander around. He'll kind of just bumble around the store and make a mess of what he chooses to. But he is a very, very sweet guy. We love Frank.
So he's 17 and he'll live for 180 more years. At what point are they full grown?
At what point are they full grown? It depends on how much you are feeding them. Frank eats a lot. So he's at a good size. He could be much bigger. Sulcatas are, a lot of people say, the 3rd largest. People say it goes Galapagos, Aldabra, and then Sulcata. So he could probably at least double in size.
Wow.
Right? He's going to be a big, big man. And then we'll just build him a bigger tank.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a very happy boy, though.
Yeah, he seems very content.
He gets very, very large salads. And then I try to keep his fruit to a minimum. He does eat a little bit more fruit than what I prefer, because my other employees, they can't resist giving him a treat. But most of the time I keep him on mostly bell peppers as his treats. He prefers the yellow bell peppers to the green ones. And then for Christmas, he got a little bit of banana and a singular strawberry for Christmas. And that was really fun. He loved that. And one strawberry is one bite for him. So you got to be real careful hand feeding him, because he could probably take off fingers with his little clampy beak, but he wouldn't mean it. He also could, if you were to stick your hand in here and he were to take his little legs and push his legs in, he would be effectively shutting your hand in there, but he gets to decide. Yeah, he gets to decide when that door opens. So I tell people, if they do want to pet Frank, it's never on the legs, it's never on the head, it's only on the shell, because this is what is going to make you either lose circulation in your fingers or have your fingers crushed. And he could crush bone, because he's a very, very strong guy. He
sounds very strong. So I see, as we're doing this right here, a lot of people come up and they look through the window and stuff like that. How long have you guys been here at Manassas Mall?
We've been here since Black Friday. We opened on Black Friday. We did a little bit of a soft opening. We didn't really tell people that we were opening. So we just wanted to see how it would go. And then so far it's going really, really well.
Yeah, this is a super cool store. So, I mean, when I grew up, there was never a store like this in my area. So it's really cool that people can come out and see stuff like this.
And see reptiles, yes.
Yeah, that kids can see this. So you guys do birthday parties as well, right?
We do birthday parties. I've done Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, all different types of events. I do festivals. We've been to pet paloozas, all different types of events. Anywhere that people want to see reptiles, we are there.
All right, Robin, who do we got here?
This is Monkey. She is our Cuban rock iguana. She's a great gal. We love her so much. She is about 8 or 9 years old. 8.5 is what she truly is. I don't want to call her 9 because I don't want to admit that she's getting older. But she is a very, very sweet girl. She's done nothing wrong in her entire life. She's super duper kind. She actually doesn't even poop on people. If she does need to use the restroom, she'll jump off of you and go onto the floor instead. She's super duper kind. The only issue that she has is she just doesn't like snakes. She would most definitely try to kill and eat a snake if it got close enough to her. However, pets, she loves pets. She does get jealous if we don't pet her enough. If she thinks that I'm holding out and I'm not giving her enough bell peppers or apples or bananas, then she will get a little sassy with me and start to bob her head. Or if she notices that I'm petting my other iguana across the way, she'll also start to bob her head.
Where does she like to be pet?
She likes to be pet literally everywhere, but especially underneath her really big cheeks under here. That's one of her favorite spots. Sometimes she'll lift her head up.
These are some serious cheeks.
Oh, yeah. She's got nice big puppy jowls. If she was a male, she would have a little bit more jowls, and then her spikes would be a little bit longer. But she is a beautiful, beautiful gal. She's got her ear right here. There's her sweet little ear. She is going through a little bit of a shed right now. All of the spots that are a little bit lighter on her are going to shed. And then this nice kind of blue-gray color there is what has shed. She's got really big, long claws so that she can climb. And her skin is a very different texture than most iguanas. If you go this way, it's kind of nice and smooth. If you go this way, it is going to catch your skin and almost exfoliate. Same thing with her tail. A tail whip from her would be pretty serious because these spikes that go the opposite way are very, very sharp. That can cut you if you really wanted it to. Luckily, she is not a tail whipper. She's not a biter. She's a very, very sweet lady.
That's cool.
Right? And
she's absolutely beautiful.
She is. She's gorgeous. She licks everything before she bites it just to make sure it's not food. So she's very polite about that as well.
What does she eat?
She eats very, very, very large salads. She's a very food-motivated lady. I do cut up bell pepper and apple for kids to feed out for her, and they'll come over with some tongs and give her a little treat, and that is her favorite part of the day. That and getting loved on all day long. She lives a good life, just getting love and having a great day. And then here, her third eye is going to be at the top of her head right there. It's that little odd-looking scale right there. And that's because, again, in the wild, especially as youngsters, they can get eaten by birds. So they can see if things come from above this way. She does have UVB. She's got a ceramic heat emitter. Even in her display tank, she's got the nice UVB and heat in there.
Yeah, she has a nice place.
Right? And then this is not even her full tank. She lives in one more similar to my hutch over here. I just have to get the walls enclosed for that so it holds heat and humidity. Okay. And then as soon as that's done, Miss Monkey will move in there.
That is awesome. She's living good.
Right? She is. She's not aching for a meal at any time, but she will pretend like she's never eaten before. She loves to beg for food, especially if she knows that you have fruits and veg. She will beg for food. She also will refuse to eat her dark leafy greens until you are gone, because she holds out for the good stuff, the fruits and the vegetables. She loves zucchini. She doesn't like squash. She doesn't like, I think it's whatever it is, the beetroot tops. She doesn't like that. She will eat them and then she'll spit them out. So she does have taste. She's a very regal lady. She knows what she likes and she knows what she dislikes.
She looks like a woman of taste.
Oh, she is a woman of taste. She's a classy lady, that's for sure. She's my favorite. I love her. I would love to take her home with me. I almost got one of her online and I had to stop myself and think, do I really want one or do I just want her?
Luckily, you can come here and interact with her.
Right? Sometimes if I get a little overwhelmed, I'll go in here and I'll take what I call a monkey minute, where you just hold monkey for a minute. And then boom, life is all good.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And she will bob her head. She'll get a little sassy with us. And that's just her saying, either you're going to pay attention to me or you're going to give me snacks. So she knows that she runs this place. She knows that this is her world and we're just living in it. Right, monkey?
Very cool. So here we have a Vietnamese blue beauty, right?
Yes. She's very, very cool. She is part of the rat snake family. This one is one that we're still working on taming down. She's less than a year old. Her brother is nice and tame for us because I got to work with the brother first. She is doing really, really well. She used to be a real big musker and a real big tail rattler, but she's calmed down significantly just with positive reinforcement. What I would do is I would just pull her out for a minute or two and let her understand that I am not going to hurt her, I'm not going to bite her, I'm not going to eat her, and then I would let her go right back. And then I slowly lengthen the amount of time that I have her out. As you can see, she's nice and curious, which means that she's not super duper stressed. She's not too freaked out. She's having a great time. She does like to eat, I feed her mice, rats, and she does occasionally eat a quail egg. We do like to have a little quail egg. She is less than a year old, so she's still very, very young. She will get much, much larger than this. Usually they do have a little bit more blue to them. However, she's not one that's got a ton of blue. She's almost a more olive hue. Her brother is much more blue than her, though. She's a beautiful, beautiful lady. This is one of those snakes that's going to have that long, spindly body. She is arboreal. She's a tree snake. So she's got
her wanting to climb.
Very much so. She loves to go up. And she's got that super duper long tail. That tail is prehensile. They'll wrap that tail up on things to hold on to the tree. That way they can reach out, grab birds, mice, lizards, rats, anything that's in those trees that they can eat, including raw eggs, bird eggs. They love to eat a bird egg. She's a very, very beautiful lady. She is calming down really, really well. This is only within like a week or two of me working with her.
Great.
She used to be pretty striky, very much so tail rattle. She would musk, she would defecate, but now she's doing really, really well. She's almost losing her head shy as well.
Do the males or the females get bigger in this species?
I'm not super duper sure. Honestly, I'm not. That's a hard question. That would be for Sean. Sean, larger.
Yeah, because I've seen some really big males too.
Oh yeah, they get super duper long. They don't get very thick.
Do you know how long they get?
Skinny body. They can get like 7, 8, sometimes 9 feet.
Yeah.
I'd say 7 is probably a better number for a male, and then 8 or 9 is a good number for a female. But then whenever they are getting to that 8 or 9 feet, you have to keep in mind that they're not getting super duper thick like a boa would.
Do you have her brother here too, you said?
Her brother is back at the warehouse.
Okay.
He went into shed, so we replaced her with him, and then next week or Sunday we will go ahead and change her out for the brother.
That's
that
super
way
cool.
I can make sure that she doesn't get too overly stressed, and that the brother also gets nice and handled down as well.
Very cool.
She's a gorgeous lady. This is a really cool snake. Yes. I love this snake. This is one of my dream species.
Me too, actually. I hope to own one day.
One of these are the Chinese beauties.
Yeah, those are cool too.
Yep, yeah. They call them the Chinese stinkers, though.
Oh, yeah, the musking?
Oh, yeah. She used to be a pretty big musker, but not anymore. She's gotten pretty good about that. Really what she does now is she'll rattle her tail at me a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's mostly just after I put her back. She's not typically rude to me at all anymore. Like, I've got her out. No issue. No need for a hook on this lady. She's just a cool, cool snake.
Yeah, she's absolutely beautiful. How old did you say she was?
She's less than a year.
Wow, so she's definitely got some good size on her for less than a year.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. She's a very good eater. She's not ever refused a meal. She loves to have a mouse, have a rat. She loves it.
Very cool. That tail is beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous? It's super duper long, which I think is incredible. and she'll hold on to you with that tail. And
that is awesome.
That is what she would rattle. These guys have such long tails because they are that tree snake. The tail is going to be starting right here. So then all of this up here is all tail.
Wow.
From here down, that's all tail.
That's cool.
Right? That's incredible. I love this snake. This is a really cool snake. This is Jewel. He's our Nile monitor. He is one of the very few Nile monitors that is handleable. He's actually a very, very sweet guy. He's so sweet, I did try to hand feed him Pinky Mouse on a glove, and he didn't want to take it. He's very used to bowl feeds or tongue feeds. He's super duper gentle. He's a very kind guy. He's never done anything wrong. He's never bitten. He's not really tail whipped. He's not really big on huffing and puffing. If he does get tired of me holding him, he will hiss at me a little bit, and that's just to let me know that he wants to go home. He is a Nile monitor, which is very, very cool. The species is not a species that is known for being very kind.
That's true.
This is typically a very aggressive species, a very hard to handle species. Mr. Jewel, however, is not aggressive, nor is he super hard to handle.
So he didn't get the memo.
Oh, no, he did not. He said, Nile's mean? No, when, since when, right? He's a very, very cool guy. We love him. He's got that real nice long tongue. He does use his tongue. He knows when it's food time. He can smell the food in the air. He might be getting just a tiny bit antsy. This is what he typically does, is he's slowly getting used to longer and longer handlings. So what I'll do is I'll pull him out for a little while and then add a couple minutes every time I pull him out.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's doing really, really well. A lot of times what he wants to do is he just wants to go on the ground and explore, but he does like to go underneath my tanks if he does go on the ground, unfortunately. Right, Mr. Jewel. Come here, baby. Come here. I know it.
So how old is this guy?
Well, we got him from somebody else, so we're not super sure on the exact age. He is still growing, though. This is still a smaller size. They can get about 7 feet, especially the males. This is a male. He will get a little bit larger than what he is right now. He is a complete carnivore. He loves a quail egg. He loves chicken. He likes gizzards, livers. He loves mice. Any type of prey item, he will absolutely destroy. And he is super duper special. He's got a beautiful coloration on him. His face doesn't look like most of the African monitors. A lot of times the African monitors have that flat kind of squished face like my rock monitor, my black throat monitor. In my Savannah, they've got that squished face where he looks more like an Asian monitor. He looks almost sort of like a water monitor or a Argus in the face because he's got the super duper long nose. And he's very, very cool.
That's
if he
cool.
does get upset with me, his whole throat will kind of puff up and get larger. And
so he'll warn you to put him down.
Yeah, he tells me, he's like, okay, I'm getting kind of antsy. His throat's not super puffed right now, but he does very clearly want to go back home.
Okay, for sure.
Right. He's a sweet, sweet man.
So this is a male reticulated python, right?
Yeah, so this
He's
is actually,
a mainland,
this
right?
is a female.
Oh, so this is a female? What's her name?
Yep. Her name is Baby because she is a baby. The largest, longest species of snake in the world. They can push nearly 30 feet long. This is a purple albino, which is why she's got that really pretty coloration. That's also why I keep her light off, is because the albino eyes are typically pretty sensitive to the UVB, and everybody has UVB strips in their tanks.
I believe the record was like 32 feet for these guys.
Yes, they can get huge, very, very large. She does have that beautiful, beautiful face. She's got those heat-sensing pits.
You're not going nowhere.
You said she's a purple albino?
Yes, she is a purple albino.
Hey,
she's a gorgeous, gorgeous gal. She's got those beautiful heat-sensing pits. She does love to climb. Retics are tree snakes.
Fun because she'll try, like, if you're holding it, the taller you are, the better for her.
Yeah, I guess I might look like a tree.
The
Yeah.
ceiling and
She loves it. Yep.
the whole way up.
She's a beautiful girl.
Hey,
She's got that nice velvet texture because she is a retic. Retics are gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous snakes. I do feed her the jumbo breeder rats.
Okay.
So she eats a fairly large meal pretty often. I could have power fed her and gotten her a lot bigger than this. However, usually at this age, retics aren't as kind as she is, and I didn't really want a super large, not so kind retic.
Yeah, also it shortens their life, right?
Yes, it does. It can decrease their lifespan if you do get them up to maturity quicker than what is meant to do.
And
so
how old is she, like 1.5?
She's 4.
She's 4? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
She's just a real slow feed on this lady. We did get her from somebody else as well. who loved her. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous snake, and they did a really, really good job handling her.
Yes.
She's just a slow feed is the only thing about her. We didn't want to get her massive super duper quickly.
Okay, for sure.
Right, Miss Lady. She's a beautiful, beautiful gal. She is an Asian snake, so I try not to keep her out for super duper long unless it's nice and warm in here. And she also is super duper kind. I can put her on kids. I can do whatever I want with her. And she's never had any issues. She doesn't hiss. She's never shown any signs of being stressed or aggressive at all. All she does is just explore and climb around. And then eventually she'll go kind of still and take a little nap on you if you're warm enough. Right? Cool. She's a beautiful lady. We love this snake.
Very cool.
This is one of the greatest.
Yeah, I like the purple albino pattern.
Yes, that's a gorgeous pattern. And then the eyes on her are stunning. Look at these. See those? That's a pretty girl.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, those are nice.
Yes, she's beautiful. Now that's a woman.
All right, so who is this Savannah monitor right here?
This is Sarsaparilla, our female Savannah monitor. She's super duper cool. We love her. She is a beautiful, beautiful lady. She is a typical African monitor. She's got that normal face shape where her face is kind of stout and flat and her nostrils kind of point backwards. That's just because we are an African species to help us with that sand. She's got a really nice beaded texture on her almost. They usually don't get super duper large. Again, we are a monitor though, so we are a complete carnivore.
What do these guys eat?
She really loves quail eggs, mice, rats if they're small enough, and then chicken gizzards, livers, pork, duck, any type of meat. As long as it's meat and it's raw, she's going to go after it. She really, really, really enjoys a quail egg, though. That is her favorite. She shows the most interest in her quail eggs. That's cool. Right, sweet lady. She's got that real nice long tongue, and that's just because she's smelling around. She's pretty curious. I like those eyes. Aren't those gorgeous?
Yes.
I love the Savannah's eyes.
Oh, yeah,
and she is one that will hiss at me. She'll smack me with her tail. She's not a big biter, though.
I would rather have them warm me, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And she's, I actually brought her rather than her male companion because she is kind of sassy and I wanted to get her tamed down. And she's doing really, really well.
Yeah,
when I got her out, when I got her out, there was no tail whip, there was no hissing, there was no huffing, there was no puffing. All it is just holding her. And she knows that she doesn't get to go back until she has calmed down in my hands. With lizards that are smart like her, if you let them throw a temper tantrum or throw a fit and then put them back, they will learn that they will do that and they will continuously do that.
It's all about building a routine, right?
Yes, very much so. So she gets to stay out until she is nice and calm and kind to me. And right now she's being pretty calm. She's just trying to back out of my grasp. But she doesn't get to go back until she's calmed down like this. Right, sweet lady.
That's very cool.
Good girl. Yeah, she's got really, really strong teeth, very strong jaws, very sharp teeth. They'll also use their claws to kind of break their food up for them if they need a little help. However, I usually don't give her food that's big enough for her to make a mess with. I give her a bowl of meat or I just tongue feed her. And she loves it like that. Right, good girl.
All right, so we got a bull snake right here.
This is our albino male bull snake. His name is Pizza. He is 9 years old.
Pizza's a great name for him.
Pizza, yep. He's 9 years old. He's a great guy. We love him. He's super duper sweet. Bull snakes can be pretty hit or miss. He's a little head shy, but that is the only thing that is ever a miss with us. He's very, very kind. He doesn't typically hiss. He doesn't rattle. He doesn't do anything like that. The only time I've actually ever heard him hiss was when he was in shed. And right now he's not in shed, which is why his eye caps are nice and clear and beautiful. He's got those beautiful, beautiful albino eyes. This is one of my sweetest bull snakes.
And they're native to North America, of course, correct?
Yes, they are. He is super duper cool. They can make a very, very loud hissing sound. That's because all of my snakes have a tube that they'll breathe through, and when they hiss, they push air through that tube. It's called a glottis. And bull snakes, gopher snakes, pine snakes have something called an epiglottis. So they have a little flap inside of their tube. And whenever they're pushing air through there, it'll vibrate and it'll be extra loud. And that's because we are a rattlesnake mimic. My non-albino over there, you can see the colors on her. She's brown and tan. She looks a lot like what a prairie rattlesnake would look like. And this texture, this is called a keeled scale. So each of these scales has a little ridge down the back of it. And that is the keel on those scales. These are considered heavily keeled scales. So she actually does feel exactly like a rattlesnake,
That's really
believe it
cool.
or not. And I can confirm this is what a rattlesnake feels like. These guys will also buzz their tail to make the same sound as a rattlesnake. If we were the color we'd supposed to be, we'd be that nice brown and tan, and then this would be a brown tan striping pattern here. A lot of people think that that is so that whenever they are wagging their tail and shaking it around, it's so it looks like they also have a rattle. So these guys are very, very intimidating in the wild. They'll stand up really, really tall. They'll hiss really, really loud, and they will rattle that tail. So a lot of animals and people will assume that this is a rattlesnake and either leave it alone, or unfortunately people do like to kill them because they assume it's a rattlesnake. Unfortunately, we are not. We do also have a little bit more of a diamond-shaped face than a lot of my other snakes, like
I
my
noticed
corn
that,
snakes.
yeah.
Again, because we are a mimic. Sometimes they'll even kind of flatten that out a little bit like this, and then that looks exactly like a rattlesnake's head. He's a super sweet guy, though. We
Yeah,
love
he's
him.
cool. I like how the belly's clear, and then I like the tail, how the red kind of fades off.
Yes, he's got a gorgeous, gorgeous coloration. This is a typical albino. We do also have a white side albino where they've got this normal pattern up here, a little bit lighter right now because we are young. And then the side of that one will be white. Our name is Vanilla, is what our white side is.
Very cool.
Blueberry is a Texas black rat snake. However, we're not the normal Texas black rat snake. We are a scaleless mutation. So we're missing scales all down the side of us. This beautiful color, the purple coloration, that is our skin. That's the color of our skin. If we were the typical Texas black rat snake, we would be black with gray. All of these darker spots here would be the black scales, and these lighter spots that are kind of a purple color would be gray. You can kind of see on our scales up front, black and gray patterning.
What does the belly look like?
Belly, we do have complete belly scales. So we've got all of those nice belly scales.
They need those for motion. They're actually kind of iridescent.
They do,
They
yeah.
need those for motion,
all of
correct?
them have that nice iridescence on them. They do need the belly scales for motion. However, the ones on the top are kind of cosmetic. It does help protect their skin. When he does shed his skin fully, and it almost looks like crepe paper whenever he sheds. It's very, very odd. Very.
And they're eating like frozen thawed anyways, right? So it's not like they need protection.
Yes, and in the wild, scaleless would be not something that would be super viable because their skin is much more sensitive, but he does eat frozen thawed. All of my animals are actually moved on to frozen thawed, besides my insectivores. So they are quite happy of being scaleless in captivity. They do feel quite odd. It's almost velvety on the sides of them. Feels kind of like eyelid skin. It's kind of super duper soft and kind of wrinkly there. But he is, again, a super duper sweet, friendly snake. He's got some scales. He's got scales on his face, which kind of make it look like he's got big, angry eyebrows. Right?
It does,
He's a beautiful guy. We love him. He is a male. These rat snakes can get pretty large, pushing 5, sometimes 6 feet. Not really seen anybody longer than that besides ones that I've personally owned, and that's just, for me. But in the wild, this is a pretty typical good size for them, especially from Texas. I can confirm this is the most common size that you're going to find is around this size. I found a couple smaller. Very rarely did I find any larger than him in Texas, though.
That's awesome.
He's a beautiful, beautiful man. He's got those nice chocolate brown eyes.
Yes.
Vanilla, this is another bull snake.
Vanilla.
Yes, this is a white side bull. So we've got a little bit of patterning up here. We've got that stripe on our tail, and then our sides are white. And as we get older and older, these white stripes, the white sides will kind of expand. They'll become a more stark white with a patterning up on the top of us. But we are another bull snake. We've got that nice diamond-shaped face, got those beautiful albino eyes, and of course our nice keeled scale. Vanilla is a very, very sweet bull snake. However, Vanilla is a little weird when it comes to eating. We do like for the food to kind of dance around, so I have to take the frozen thawed and kind of make it jump a little bit. And Vanilla also really likes to hiss while we're eating.
Oh, really?
Yes, so we will have a full mouse in our throat, and we will also be hissing while we are eating.
No one's stealing your food, Vanilla.
Yes, Vanilla is very protective. When we get our meal, that's our meal, and you cannot take it. Silly little thing. Vanilla is a female. She's a very, very pretty girl. We love her.
How old is she?
She's only, I think, 2.
Okay, for sure,
she's still pretty young.
What do the females get, like 6 feet, 7 feet?
Yeah, females will get about the same size as the males.
Oh, okay.
Males I think are a little bit larger. I've not noticed too much of a difference in working with the males and the females, though. The males are a tidbit larger. My female over there is almost the same size as Pizza, but not quite.
Okay, for sure.
Nice and chunky.
Okay, so we got Marshmallow, right?
Yes, Marshmallow is a Texas black rat snake. We are leucistic rather than being albino. Albino, the pupil would be that red coloration or a dark red, or where leucistic on these guys. They're going to have the normal pupil, so it's going to be that nice black color. They're going to be devoid of color and pattern, so they're going to be typically all white. Every now and then they'll have a couple of specks of color.
I do see like a black spot right there, yeah.
Yes, so this is our one singular speck of color, and then we've got 2 little orange dots.
That's cool.
So we're not completely leucistic, but most of the way. And then leucistic, they'll have either blue, black, or silverish toned eyes. And Marshmallow here has those nice silver toned eyes.
So this is the same species as the scaleless you showed, just the leucistic.
Same species. And then if I bred this one with my scaleless, I would actually make completely normal babies because those are both recessive genes.
Gotcha. So they'd just be het.
Yes, they would be het scaleless and het leucistic.
Wow.
But they wouldn't be visibly anything special. However, I can't breed the 2 of them because they're both boys.
For sure.
Right. And then Marshmallow is a pretty decent size again.
And these are daytime snakes with round pupils, right?
Yes. You can see our nice little round pupils.
Oh, those eyes are very cool.
Aren't those beautiful? That like silver tone in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a very, very active snake. This is one that people like to handle because we like to move a lot. We like to climb. We like to go places. Marshmallow really likes to get in places we're not supposed to be. That includes sleeves, hoodies, pockets, purses. Anything that is not where we are supposed to be is where Marshmallow wants to go.
All hiding spots, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We like to go where it's nice and dark and warm, or we'll also just go completely over people's eyes and blind them a little bit because we want to go to the highest point. Right, Marshmallow. Marshmallow's a super duper sweet little thing. We're not head shy.
Yeah, he's very
We don't
cool.
huff. We don't puff. We do nothing about it.
Yeah, well, very well behaved as well.
Very, very, very well behaved. See?
You can tell all your animals are worked with a lot.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Especially Marshmallow. Marshmallow is one of the ones I have to give a little bit of a time limit and tell people, hey, we got to give Marshmallow a little bit of a break because Marshmallow is super popular. Everybody loves Marshmallow.
I definitely can see why.
I've had so many people ask me, can I buy Marshmallow? No, you may not buy Marshmallow. Marshmallow's our sweet angel. She's one of our rock stars. We want to keep
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Dark and warm. That's where we want to be.
I think it's smart.
Sweet thing.
So right here we have a beautiful emerald tree boa.
Yeah, she's a gorgeous, gorgeous gal. These guys are really, really cool. They actually don't eat very often. A lot of people will overfeed these guys. The breeders that we got them from say to feed them once every 6 to 8 weeks. She eats a small rat every 6 to 8 weeks. She actually ate, I think, about 6 days ago. Those guys do have the longest tooth-to-body ratio of any non-venomous snake. They've got extremely long teeth. They've got lots of heat-sensing pits, so they know exactly where you are. This is a arboreal snake, hence is why we are perched so beautifully. They'll actually tuck their little faces into their coils sometimes whenever they sleep, just to keep the light off of them. She blends in really, really, really well with her surroundings. She looks a lot like just leaves and branches. And their teeth are super duper long because in the wild, oftentimes they'll eat birds, and birds have very thick feathers. So she needs those really long teeth to be able to puncture through the feathers. She's got extremely good heat sensing pits, a very good sense of smell, and her aim is almost perfect. Every time I do feed her, she's very quick about it, and she makes no issues out of that frozen thawed rat. She's a great lady. We love her. She's beautiful, but unfortunately those guys don't come with the best of temperaments.
Yeah, she's a northern, correct?
Yeah, she's one of the ones where you kind of look at them and you're like, oh, that's beautiful. Don't really hold them, though, I do believe.
They make great display animals.
Very much so. I tell people they're like fish.
Yeah.
You look at them, you don't really handle them. If I do handle her, I handle her with a hook just because her teeth are a little bit too long for my comfort.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
All right, so we got a blue-tongued skink.
Yep, this is Semper Fi. Semper Fi is a blue-tongued skink. He came to us with that name, and he's a very, very sweet guy. His favorite food in the entire world is bananas and quail eggs. One of the only ways I can get him to fully eat his salad is if I dress it up real fancy and put it in a quail egg dressing, and then he's real happy to eat it. These guys have very, very strong teeth and very powerful jaws. In the wild, they do like to chow on snails. He does get the canned reptile snails every now and again as a little bit of a treat. He'll also eat crickets, dubia cockroaches, pinkies every now and again, and then salads. So we'll eat bell pepper, zucchini, squash, collard greens, and then we also love our fruit, like our apples, bananas, strawberries, and blueberries.
That's cool.
Very, very sweet lizard. Skinks aren't very fast, so we've got that blue tongue. This type of skink isn't very fast. In the wild, especially the Virginian skinks that we have up here, are very, very quick. This one, not as much. So instead of scurrying away, he'll open his mouth and do a little threat threat display. His tongue is very, very large and is very bright blue. A lot of times in the wild, that means that they are either venomous or poisonous. So he wants to trick other animals into not eating him. He's not venomous, nor is he poisonous. However, a bite from him is going to be something that's pretty painful, just because we've got those really strong jaws and pretty sharp teeth.
Usually they're pretty chill, right?
Oh yeah, they can be. If you handle them enough, then they are very, very chill. This one in particular is super duper sweet.
Is he about full grown?
Nice, yeah, we are. We're pretty good size. We're pretty old. Was given to us at this size, and he's very, very sweet little guy. Did come with some cosmetic imperfections though.
How long do these guys live?
They can live like 15, 20 years. My personal one right now is she's 17.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, my personal one's pretty old, but this one is a good size, good age. I think we're pushing 12 is what our age is.
They make pretty cool pets.
Oh yeah, they make incredible pets. And then this one was given to us with no toes. So that says that the old owner, they really, really loved him. They just didn't know that we do require a little bit of humidity. So our toes kind of went a little necrotic and fell off, and that was all before we got him. He's never had any claws with us, but he's also never had any issue shedding with us. He sheds in pretty large sheets. However, he makes a great show animal.
Yes, that's cool. You guys can basically take a rescue and make it an animal ambassador.
Exactly. Our Nile monitor came with scars all down his back. And we put that Sylvadine cream on there. That's the good stuff that they use for human burns as well, and we are good to go now. One of my sand boas is also a little special needs because he was given to us on the basis of if we could keep him alive, we could have him. And we kept him alive, and she's doing really, really well. And she's a little neurologically silly, but very, very happy. And this guy, the only imperfection on him is that we just have no toes. Other than that, we eat, we hunt, we move, we do everything else perfect. And he sheds in complete, like big sheets down the back, and then all of our toes shed perfectly. I've never had any issues with shedding on this guy ever. And that's because, wonderful. Right, I keep it nice and humid in here, just because we are probably the Indonesian version. And I do believe Irian Jaya, because look at that. See the orange on that tummy?
I do.
Yeah, that a lot of times people will say that's the Irian Jaya version with that orange banding right there. However,
that's awesome.
I've seen others that have a little bit brighter of an orange banding, but they can have that shallow banding. You want that?
That's cool. These animals can come and live a great life with you guys.
Right, exactly. I've gotten quite a few that have been given to me from other people that could just no longer take care of them anymore.
So that's also called a cane toad?
Yeah, so they're called cane toads, marine toads, or bufo toads. Bufo toads is a couple of different types of toads, but marine toad is an appropriate name for a cane toad. This one's still really young. That's our favorite corner to sit in.
Do they have like poisonous or venomous pouches?
Yeah, so they've got two little kind of bumps on the side of them. It's kind of hard to see, and those are where if you were to squeeze that, a white milky fluid would come out.
Is it a poison or a venom?
It is a toxin. It is a poison.
It's a poison.
If you eat it, you're in trouble.
Gotcha.
If you eat venom, you should be fine as long as you've
Unless
got
you don't have an ulcer.
Yeah. Right? And that'd be an awful way to find out. It's a bad way to find out,
yeah.
You're like, oopsies. Sorry, guys. But he is poisonous, yeah. And if that toxin gets in your eye, it can blind you. It can make you really, really sick if it gets in any cuts on your hands. He is really, really cool. He will puff himself up with air if I do handle him. And that's just to make himself large enough to where I can't swallow him. He also loves to pee on me to encourage me to put him down. He'll also make a cute little chuffy noise. And they're very, very cool animals. These guys, I mostly give him bugs. I give him crickets, small mice, and then dubia cockroaches, pinky mice every now and then. He also gets silver-side fish, which are like frozen.
Okay.
And then I'll just dangle those in front of him with tongs, and we open our mouth up and eat it. We have no teeth. They've got gums instead, and their tongues will fold back into their throat. That's how it's super duper long.
How big do these guys get?
They can get like the size of a sheet of paper almost. They'll get to be about this large.
Are they the biggest type of toad?
The largest? Are we the largest type of toad, Sean?
Definitely close.
Close.
Yeah,
Who's
they're really
first?
big when
I've
they're
seen
adults.
some huge ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get very, very large.
All right, you guys, that does it for our Raging Reptiles video. They're a wonderful place that does wonderful education. And if you're in Manassas or anywhere in Virginia, you should definitely come check them out. They are awesome. Thank you to Robin, AJ, and Sean for having me. And can't wait to see you guys again soon.